I haven't drunk it for the last 3 days. I've thrown it away.
You what?
I've made my own drink.
Is that what those bitches were giving you in there? Is that their hint for today?
They're my friends. Don't
They're
call
a
them
bunch of
bitches.
not very bright bitches who ought to mind their own goddamn business.
All they said was get a second opinion.
Rosemary, you got the best doctor in New York. You know who Dr. Hill is? He's a Charlie nobody. That's who he is.
I'm tired of hearing how great Dr. Saperstein is.
Well, we'll have to pay Saperstein. We'll have to pay Hill. Well, it's out of the question.
No, I'm not changing. I just want to go to Dr. Hill and get a second opinion.
I won't let you do it, Ro. I mean, because it's not fair to Saperstein.
Not fair to... What are you talking about? What about what's fair to me?
Look, if you want a second opinion, you tell Saperstein and let him decide.
No, I want Dr. Hill.
At least
If
have
you
that much
won't
courtesy
pay,
to tell
then
man as you
I'll-
feel. Ro? Rosemary? What is it?
Stop.
What?
Pain, stop. It's like that.
Stop.
Stop.
What was in that drink you made?
Eggs, milk, sugar.
What else? What else? Oh, Rosemary, for Christ's sakes, what else was in that drink?
It's alive. Guy, it's moving. It's alive. It's all right. Feel.
Oh,
Feel
yeah,
it.
I felt it.
Don't be scared. It won't bite.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's really...
I feel it kicking. It's alive. It's moving.
Hello and welcome to Book versus Movie. This is a podcast where we read books that have been adapted into movies, and then we try to decide which we like better, the book or the movie. I am Margot P. of coloniabook.com, and this is my good friend and co-host, Margot D. of Book and Fit Chick.
Hi, everyone.
We were just saying before we got on the air, I just received my beautiful copy of Filmed in Brooklyn, a new book about books and movies. It's a book about movies by a certain Margot Donahue.
Yes, thank you so much. My book is out for you to purchase. You can get it wherever you get books. It's right now available in the States. Margot Binksy, who listens to every episode, she's in Australia. She's been a listener for a long time. She sent me a link. You know, it costs $55 in Australia to get this book. I know it's expensive to live there, but I had no idea it was that expensive. Wow. I don't blame you for not getting it, by the way.
Yeah, no, that's okay.
I'll send you the PDF, Binksy. Shh. But everybody else, it's filmed in Brooklyn, and thank you so much.
Yes, get it. It is so much fun if you enjoy movies, and there's just so much interesting. I barely have had a chance to go through it a little bit. I'm going to sit and actually read it. I just got it this afternoon, but I can tell you that it is filled with amazing, fun tidbits about your favorite movies that were filmed in Brooklyn. Now, today's movie is filmed in New York, but not filmed in Brooklyn. We're going to be talking about Rosemary's Baby because why? It's October, and even though it's 91 degrees in San Diego, and there's nary an oak leaf in sight, we're gonna will it to be autumn, and every October we talk about spooky movies. And when the pandemic started, we made a commitment to do a brand new episode every single week, and that means two things. Number one, it means we have to kind of expand what we mean by book to mean any literary source. So it might be a novella, it might be a short story or a magazine article or a song. Today we are going to be talking about a book, but the other thing it means is that we need ideas because it's real hard to, especially after this is 8 years of doing this show, and we've always done spooky movies in October, and we've done so many. I mean, we could just do nothing but Stephen King, but we tried to mix it up for you guys. So if you have ideas for more spooky movies that we could do this month, let us know. There's a few places where you can interact with us and meet other listeners of Book versus Movie on the internet.
We have a basic Facebook page. Be sure to like that. We also have a private Facebook group. It's Book VS Movie Podcast Group. Ask to join. It's, like I said, a private group, but we literally just talk about books and movies there. We ask that the book be available either on Kindle or through the Libby app, or a pretty easy to grab paperback that you can get on Amazon or someplace like that. And the movie needs to be on a major streaming app or has to be on YouTube. If we have to jump through all kinds of hoops in order to get the movie or the book, it's just not possible for us to use it for the show. And we also have talked about songs to movies, short stories to movies, magazine articles. So whatever the literary source is that's been adapted into a movie. We have November coming up. We need some ideas there. December, it's Disney in December. And then we have January, February, March, the whole, how those month things kind of go. We also have Twitter, Book versus Movie, and Instagram, Book versus Movie. You spell all those words out there. And we have an old-timey email, bookversusmoviepodcast@gmail.com. Spelled it all out. And we have stickers, and we have magnets and bookmarks. If you're interested, give us your address. We will drop them in the mail for you. I forgot to mention, if you get my book and you like me to sign your book, I have little stickers that I can sign for you and send them in the mail, and you can put it inside my book. Just send us it in an email. Send me your address.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Now, today's book and movie is one that, excuse me, I'm surprised that you were saying you did like a bonus episode some time ago, but we haven't talked about Rosemary's Baby ever. And I couldn't remember if I'd read it before. I think I had read it before. Like once I was reading the book, I was like, oh yeah, I think I've read this. It's from 1967. Mm-hmm. It's a very quick read, I felt like, and just shout out. I listened to the audiobook. Did you?
Yeah, the audiobook is amazing. I think you were moving from your home to the adorable home that you're in right now. And I think Juliet Miranda, the Unwritable Ranch, she pinched hit that day. And I bought the Audible book, and I'm really glad I did, because Mia Farrow does the audiobook, and it's fantastic.
It's one of the better ones we've had, for sure.
Wow. She acts out all the voices. It's pretty incredible.
And I also got it. I got it also on, the ebook from the Libby app. Mm-hmm. So, because I do like to kind of see the two of them. But let's talk about this book, because I really liked it. I think it's super good.
Let's talk about Ira Levin for a second. Ira Marvin Levin, he was born August 27th, 1929 in New York City. He's written a few novels and a few plays, and actually was a songwriter as well. A Kiss Before Dying, Rosemary's Baby, The Stepford Wives. We also talked about him. We covered that one. The Boys from Brazil. Death Trap is one of the very popular plays that he's done. He also did the sequel to Rosemary's Baby. So his life was about ups and downs. This is a story, he kind of based it on the Dakota building, which is where John Lennon lived, and that's been around in New York forever and ever. Very talented man. He was very tortured by this project. He was married in 1960, and then to Gabrielle. They were divorced the year this book came out, and then he said that he wondered. There's a lot of people who said this is cursed. There's people that say that The Omen is cursed, The Exorcist is cursed. I say, look, any movie you could say it's cursed because there's a lot of people in the process, first in the book and then in the movie and at the movie studio and stuff like that. But anyway, there's a lot that's going on there. But he was very successful. He passed away in 2007. This book is honestly, it's so funny because it's very, very, very close to the movie. There's not going to be very much that we can say that's different. Normally,
True.
This is not one of the ones like a Forrest Gump where we're going to be like, okay, we're going to spend like half an hour easily just talking about the book, and then it's going to be something completely different. They're very, very similar. So it might be kind of shorter talking about this, but I think it's more about talking about what the time was, because Rosemary represents, in a way, kind of an independent woman from mid-1960s, but she's not for a 2022 audience.
No. It's so funny especially because, he did write Stepford Wives.
Right.
And it's she's definitely in the book and in the movie, she definitely is presented as like a modern, liberated young woman in the swinging 60s in New York City. Doesn't need anybody, or does she? Because she has no job. I really love the themes in this book. Very similar to Stepford Wives, which we've done more than once. We like it so much. And but just in general, just kind of as a general note, what I really like about his writing, and in particular with this book, is he just presents everything very matter-of-factly. And he doesn't try to necessarily like influence the way that you feel about each of the characters, even like the witches.
Right.
Like in for instance, in Stepford Wives, he's just telling you what's happening. The men are meeting, and this is what they're talking about, and the women, this is what they're saying about how they feel about that. And so, the fact that he's got this slightly removed voice in telling the story, the very kind of non-judgmental voice, allows you, the reader / listener, if you're listening to the audiobook, which again we recommend, to really go into the world and judge everything for yourself. And so Rosemary, we were presented with, first of all, Rosemary and her husband. They've been apartment hunting. Here's my little like, really though? But I don't know. I could be wrong. Her husband is an actor. He's been doing television and theater. They kind of do this thing where like, oh, what movies has he been in? And she's like, oh, he hasn't really been in these movies. He was on this obscure play and in this obscure play.
Luther and Everyone Loves an Albatross. Or Nobody Loves an Albatross. I forget which one, but she says it all the time.
It's so cute.
Yeah.
And so, probably not very wealthy, but somehow they get an apartment. First of all, they've already gotten an apartment. They've already said yes to an apartment after doing some apartment hunting. And they managed to get an apartment in this big old New York Gothic building like the Dakota. In the book, they say it's a building like the Dakota. Mm-hmm. In the movie, of course, it is the Dakota. But in the book, they call it the Bramford. And the Dakota, if you're familiar with it, has all this amazing stonework and very, very, very Gothic looking. But anyway, somehow they can totally afford a place in this building with a doorman and the whole shebang. But okay.
Yeah, it's 1965, and he wrote this in 66. He basically went to the Times, and he very meticulously set the timeline up so that the baby was born June of 66. 666. I see what you did there. But he made like the world events work in a particular way. And I think because my mother would tell me about the Pope coming to New York in 65. My parents remember that. Well, my parents were alive then, of course. But anyway.
You would. That's kind of a big deal.
Yeah, it was a very big deal. They were Catholic. So anyway, but so Rosemary's from the Midwest, and Guy is about 10 years older than her, and he's an actor. He's a bit of a narcissist. He's a little self-centered.
He's a DICK.
Yeah. Is he the
terrible?
Well, this is, and I think it's much more in the movie. We'll definitely see it than here. But I think
it's pretty much there in the book.
Yeah. He's a narcissist.
It's pretty evident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a narcissist. I mean,
yeah, he seriously is.
And I don't mean to paint all actors or performers with this brush, but there is they tend to, some of them, but back to me, there is sometimes this idea of this being this never ending bucket of need and this never ending desire for admiration. There's a scene, they move into they've managed, she's got a person in her old build. She moves from the Midwest. She marries a guy that's not Catholic. And that's a big deal to her family. That's
right. I had forgotten about that.
They don't really talk about this in the movie. Like, she's the youngest of 6, and she moves with him to New York, and her family's all aghast. Like, she's an actor, and she's moving to New York City, and he's not Catholic. And she moves in. They're in the village or something, and there's a man named Hutch, and he's in his mid-50s or so, and he says he's like a father to her, and he very much takes care of her. And there's conflict between him and Guy. And I think, first of all, because I think he knows that Guy's not very bright and is kind of a narcissist, and he sees through Guy. And Guy knows
the subtitle of Rosemary's Baby should be "Marrying Guy was your first mistake."
Guy is the real devil here, really.
Exactly.
But
he really is.
He really is. I mean, it's like he's terrible. But she's married to him. She adores him. And he thinks he's going to be a big star one day, or he really wants to be. He's been at it for a while. It's Luther and Nobody Loves an Albatross. Nobody Loves an Albatross. Those are the two big plays that he's been in. But he does a ton of radio and commercials, and you get a lot of residuals for those commercials. TV is really taking off at that time. And they get this chance to be in the Bamford or Bramford? I'm thinking of Maria Bamford. Anyway, but they get this chance to be in this fancy pants bigger house, a bigger apartment, and it's just gigantic ceilings, and it's very aspirational. And he's saying, well, you're going to give up a room, and you're going to give up this and that. And she's like, but I want it. And he's like, okay. And so they get it. But of course it comes with, older neighbors, and they're very nosy, and they come over a lot, and they're already in their business, and they're a little bit meddlesome. And then Rosemary makes a friend, and Teresa, and she lives next door, and she lives with the Castanets or Cassavetes, whatever. Cassavetes.
Yeah.
And she says, oh, they're great people. I was on dope. I was on the street, and they took me in, and they took care of me, and they're like grandparents to me. And Rosemary has this new friend, and I kind of liked this part where you really get the sense Rosemary and her are going to be buds, and Rosemary says to her, oh, Guy's an actor, he was in a soap opera, and the girl recognizes him. And I like the part where he mentions she brings her over to the apartment, and she recognizes Guy, and she notices, like, all of a sudden Guy just is really gallant with her, and really, like, you see Guy really likes that attention. He likes being recognized. He likes being, he loves that, and he wants that. And so he gets that from her. And so anyway, the next thing she's dead. She's out, they find her on the street. Yeah. She jumped or fell.
And it catches you as a reader. It totally catches you off guard. Yeah. Because it happens right away. Like,
there's
just
no
when
waste.
You're like, oh, she's nice. Yeah. And then she's gone.
There's not a wasted scene in this story.
No.
Everything matters. Everything that matters happens very quickly, very matter-of-factly, like Margot was saying. We're both named Margot in case this is your first time. Anyway, so she dies, and then Rosemary immediately kind of says to the older folks, that says to Cassavetes, and says, oh, she really said how nice you were to her. And they immediately glom on to Rosemary and say, oh, please come over tonight. We're so lonely, and we miss her already. And so then they feel like coming over. And what happens is Roman and Minnie. And Roman says to Guy, I saw you in a play on Broadway, and you did some gesture. And he flatters him. And Guy is like, oh, well.
You changed my life.
Right. And so, and they serve this terrible food, and they talk too much. And Rosemary's like, they come home and they're laughing about it. But Guy's like, he said some interesting things. I'm going to hang out there more often. And Rosemary's like, what? And Guy eventually wants to keep Rosemary away from Hutch and wants to hang out with them, the Castevetes, more often. And all of a sudden, Guy is saying like things like, you know what, let's have a baby. Let's do that. Let's have a baby. And they have a baby, and that's one night they go the Castevetes.
Oh, it's weirder than this. Okay, so they're he's so weird. What girl? Why did you marry him? Rosemary. She has no life. She doesn't have any interests, really. She's just married to this guy, and it's all about like having dinner on the table for him and decorating the apartment and making it all nice for him. And she gets the invitation to dinner with the Castevetes. And Guy's response at first is like, ugh, why did you do that? I don't want to go do that.
I missed an audition today.
Yeah. And she's like, oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I would have, I can just go. Don't worry. Da, 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 da. And he's like, ugh, fine, I'll go. And then when they come back, he's like, I'm going back tomorrow. And she's like, oh, okay. And then he's like, yeah. Again, because he's always just about him. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden he's like, let's have a baby. I figured out when you're fertile, it's these 2 days. And he's like marked it on the calendar. Like, nothing suspect there. And she's like, oh, wow, you've thought of everything. Okay. And and so they make plans, when you're planning to have a baby, sometimes you have to make extra plans, but that's a little weird, like out of nowhere that he suddenly is concerned about having a baby, because he's only been concerned about himself. And it's all he has ever talked about is himself. And, why isn't she more considerate of him? And can't she see how hard this day has been for him? And wah, wah, wah.
Right.
So for him to suddenly be like, these are your 2 fertile days. We're going to be doing it on these 2 days.
There's a lot of gaslighting with him. I mean, he tells her she's not feeling what she's feeling. He says he mopes a lot, and then he turns around and does the thing like, I'm such a jackass. Why do you even hang out with me? I don't deserve you. And then she's like, oh, that's not true. That's okay. I mean, there's so much going on here, and it's like, Rosemary, get out. But she's already in. And she's so, I mean, just kind of move it forward. She gets pregnant after a night of weird, she has weird dreams. She
has weird dreams, which are, I like the way he describes the dreams in the book. And we'll talk about the way they're done in the movie, which is, I mean, again, totally true to the book. The movie is so true to the book. But he does a really good job of describing the way that, like, when you're in a dream and it just seems perfectly normal for your 3rd grade teacher to show up with your dry cleaning.
Right.
Of course. And so I really like the way, so she has a dream about being Catholic. She has all these dreams, and people are saying things and she doesn't know. She's like, oh, that's weird. Kind of a weird dream. Okay, whatever. But one time she wakes up. Oh, after this special night that he's marked on the calendar.
Right.
She wakes up she's like, oh my gosh, I must have passed out. Oh, whoopsie. And whoa, I've got scratches on me. That's kind of weird. And then her husband says, oh, oops.
My bad. I filed them down. Don't worry. I got a little randy last night.
I got a little randy with you while you were passed out last night.
On baby night.
Didn't want to miss baby night.
And by the way, like, get dressed because we got to go someplace right now. Like, that doesn't even let her sleep in or anything. He's such a jackass. Anyway.
Oh my gosh. So, and she's like, what?
Okay.
Okay. Maybe ask next time. But I'll get ready. And I mean, just like, get out of there.
So she tries to keep in touch with her old friends like Hutch and her other old friends, but gradually the Castavetes are really taking over their social life. They're coming over a lot. When Guy goes over, she's like, good, I'll stay home and I'll read a book. But Minnie and her friends come over, and they're 2 yentas. They won't leave her alone. Rosemary eventually finds out that she's pregnant. And around that time, she does find out she's pregnant. First thing that they do is they make her go to their obstetrician, versus the one she wants to go to, because all of her friends go to the cool guy, Dr. Hill. He's young, he's cute, he's the one for all of their friends, and they're like, no, you have to go to Saperstein on the Upper East Side. He's the best one. And at the same time, she's telling her friend Hutch, and Hutch is the one that, by the way, warned them in the first place. That building is dark history.
It's got some bad
juju. Black magic, witchcraft have happened there. You want to think of twice. You want to live there for a long time. And anyway, so she's going to Dr. Saperstein, who says things like, don't read about pregnancy. Do everything I tell you to.
Just don't read.
Don't read. Do everything I tell you, and Minnie's going to give you a drink, and you drink that every day. And Minnie's going to grow these herbs. And I forgot to mention, the woman that they lived in the apartment before grew herbs, and Minnie would make drinks from the herbs, and that woman would drink them. And then they had a falling out, and then soon after the woman died. She was in her 80s. But anyway, so that's
But still.
So she starts bringing this drink over, and Rosemary has to drink this drink every day. And all of a sudden, Rosemary is having these horrible pains, and is losing weight, and she's already very wafy and slim and is very pale. And everywhere she goes, people think she's dying. They don't know she's pregnant. And her friend Hutch is one of those people that says to her, what is going on? You look terrible. You're supposed to be glowing. And and she says, I have this morning sickness. I can't get rid of it. And the doctor won't help me. Nobody tells me anything. So Hutch is super like on the case. Like, I'm going to find out what's going on. And that's when Guy, he's coming over to visit. And then the Cassavetes immediately, boom, come right over as soon as Hutch is there. And then they call Guy, who's rehearsing a play. All of a sudden, Guy has got a career. He's getting called for auditions. So Guy...
Oh, so he was moping about because he had wanted this part
right
in this show, and this other guy got it. Meh, meh, meh. And then suddenly, the other guy who got this part that Guy really wanted goes blind out of nowhere. Mm-hmm. And now Guy has the part. And so, yes, his career is taking off. And yes, and so she has no life. She can't even meet with her stupid friend in peace, just leave her alone.
Her father figure friend who really cares about her.
Who cares about her?
Right, who has a vested interest in her and really cares. So Guy immediately rushes home. And somehow, so when Hutch comes over, Rosemary gives him the download and he goes, okay, I'm going to find out some stuff and I'll get back to you. When he leaves the apartment, he's like, where did my glove go? He can't find the pair to his gloves. And they're looking around, they can't find it. So remember that. So Hutch leaves. Her husband's, and Guy is like, I don't want you seeing him anymore. He just upsets you. He's, because Guy is the worst. Let's just remember that. Guy is the worst.
He's the worst.
He's the worst.
Yeah.
Then Rosemary decides after the holidays, so we're in 1966 now, she says, I want to have a party. I'm going to have my friends over. It's nobody under 60. Everyone's going to have a good time. I'm going to plan the menu. Nobody else can be here. It's just going to be us. So she invites all of her friends over, and they all come over, and all of her old girlfriends are showing up, and nobody knew she was pregnant. Back then, you could do that. There's no Facebook. You're not announcing anything. And at this point, she's like 3 or 4 months, and she's lost weight, and she's trying to wear makeup to cover her pallor because she looks so terrible. And they all take her into the kitchen, and they're kind of like locking the doors into the kitchen.
What's up?
Girl, what's up? You in danger. Like, what is going on here? And they say to her, you need to see Dr. Hill right away because this man sounds like a nightmare. This is not, he sounds like a sadist. This is not okay. Because she's in so much pain she can't eat.
She's in terrible physical pain all the time.
And Guy doesn't say anything.
And Guy is like,
take some aspirin.
No. But this part is hard. This part that I wanted so bad, and the guy went blind so I could have it.
I have to learn to walk on crutches. It's so obnoxious. So she talks to the new doctor, but then he consults with Saperstein, and then he's in on it. So basically, they start.
It's the patriarchy.
It's the patriarchy. It is really the patriarchy is convincing people she's nuts. She's this hayseed from the Midwest. She doesn't know what she's talking about. They call it hysteria. She's a woman in a condition that she doesn't know what she's doing. She's just, and all of a sudden, her pain just goes away. She can feel the baby kicking. She even says to Guy, she's like, "Oh, feel my stomach. My baby's kicking." He's like, because he knows.
Because that's a normal reaction for a father to have.
Right.
Oh, the baby's kicking? Oh, gross.
Gross. So Hutch has some kind of an accident and he falls into a coma. And then he passes away. And then Rosemary goes to his funeral, and one of his friends gives her a book. And the book is basically about witchcraft and devil worship,
history of
and about
witches,
the history of it. And basically, Roman Castevet is basically among a bunch of coven. Of people. And he says, and basically, he's warning her, like, these people are trying to make a devil baby from you. Like, you have to get away from these people. And so Rosemary is trying to figure out how to get out of Dodge. And so she packs up her bag. She's been isolated from her family. She hasn't talked to any of her siblings. She hasn't talked to any of her friends in months. She's at this point like 7 or 8 months pregnant.
They're drugging her and isolating her on a daily basis.
They're giving her these weird herbs, and it's called tannis root that doesn't really exist, but that's like making her really, messed up. She goes to Dr. Saperstein's office. And she goes to Dr. Hill's office, and then she's trying to explain to him, and then he gives her something she has her like sleep in his office, and then they all show up at the office and say, okay, you're going to be sent to a mental hospital, or you're going to be sent home. Like, which one is it? So she goes home, and then she goes into labor early June.
By the way, wrong choice.
Yes. Yeah. Send me to the, yeah. So she goes into labor, and then they tell her the baby died. It's an ectopic pregnancy, which she thinks she had from the beginning.
From the pain.
From the pain. And Saperstein said, oh, what's that? What are you even talking about? Ectopic pregnancy, dumb broad. How dare you? They say to her, go home and rest. Try to have another baby soon because your body's ready to have one. Sorry about this time, but you'll be okay. And they send her home, and she goes home, and she hears that there's new neighbors and they have a baby. So she can hear a baby crying, a newborn. And she's saying to Guy, is there a new person? And somebody that's taking care of her, like, oh, yeah, there's a new couple and they have a baby. That's what you're hearing. She's like, oh, okay. And then Rosemary finally goes in and checks on it because she realizes, like, they're at the Castavet's house. And
she stops taking the pills that they've been giving her.
Because they've been giving her sleeping pills, and she's been saving those.
She fake takes them, and she's, yeah.
Right, and it turns out that the old lady, she had boarded up a room in her, they were wondering why did she board up the closet door? They put like a wardrobe in front of it. It was because it walked right into the Cassavetes' apartment. And she did that because they were such good friends. They would walk in and out of each other's apartments. So anyway, she walks in there, and that's when she sees that there's a baby in there. And that has to be her baby. And so there's like
her husband is there,
right? Like
all these weird people are there, plus her husband, for some reason.
And they're like, you probably don't want to be here, Rosemary. She's like, is that my baby? And they're like, yeah. And she walks over. And it's sort of left to you, I think I leave thinking she's telling them, well, his name is Andrew, not Adrian, because they keep telling her it's Adrian. And she says, his name is Andrew, and I'm going to take care of him. But I think she's going to, like, get him the hell out of there, like, and do what she can. It's
left open-ended. Yeah, we don't really know. We get a little more, excuse me, we get a little more description of the baby in the book than we do in the movie. And we'll talk about that in a little bit. But in the book, he's got everything is black. He's in a black bassinet with like a black, I guess, onesie or whatever, like you do. Like you could just get anywhere and
black diapers.
Satanic Babies R Us. And he's got like the little babies when they're born, their little fingernails are they're like razor sharp. They're little razors. And so for newborns often wear these little like mitten things so they don't scratch themselves up. And so he's got some of those on. They're black, of course. And they're like, oh, yeah, if you take those off, you see he's got beautiful claws.
And look at his feet. Aren't they cute?
And his tail.
His tail. It's adorable. So cute. And Rosemary's first, she's kind of screaming and yelling, like, what is going on here? And then she kind of thinks in her head, well, he's maybe half the devil, but he's half me. Maybe I can help him. I could turn him around. Maybe I could do something. So I think what she's doing is sort of plotting her exit,
which is entirely possible. But again, like the way that Ira Levin writes is that he's not like you're not in Rosemary's mind. You're just hearing what she's saying. So it's entirely possible that she's thinking like, okay, if this baby is going to have any shot of escaping this fate, I'm it.
Right.
Or perhaps she's totally brainwashed at this point. You know, perhaps she's just had a complete break. We don't know. We only know what she says, which is, you know, oh, you're trying to get me to be his mother, and so she, we only get what people can see from the outside and hear from the outside. So it's very open ended. You know, where's she going with this?
Right.
I'll tell you what. I mean, she has a better shot with the baby and the baby's father than she does with Guy. That's for sure. Why is he even around still? That's what I want to know. She has 2 lovers in this book, and Guy is the worst one.
After the devil.
After the devil himself.
It's a huge bestseller. It's bought by Paramount, like as it's still like I think in the editing phase, even before it hits the market. But it's a huge bestseller, and this is Robert Evans, Paramount. It's just he's like a hit
just
machine.
Golden boy.
Yes,
just whatever he says goes.
Right. So this is a case, and this happens. Sometimes we do a book or movie, and eventually somebody involved becomes, let's just say, quote unquote, problematic. And sometimes it's whatever. This is a case where we have a director that's more than problematic. I mean, Roman Polanski. Yeah. You can look.
It's easy to find.
Yeah, it's easy to find. He's our director. I believe he was married to Sharon Tate at this time, right? He
was involved with her, at least, if they weren't already
Right.
married. Yeah, they were definitely in a relationship by this point.
Right. He wanted her to play Rosemary, but they couldn't get that to come through. So it's Mia Farrow. And then Mia she was married to Frank Sinatra at the time. And then Sinatra was doing a film called The Detective, which would be
woof.
bad, dog bark.
Okay,
bad
we have
movie.
to untangle this. Okay,
Yes.
So first of all, Mia Farrow, who's like, what is she, like 21, 22?
21, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
He's
so
her first boyfriend, by the way.
Yeah, is Frank Sinatra, who's 30 years older than she is.
Yes.
And so she was just, she said they met and
Innocent.
she was just immediately in love with this guy. And like, he's like, let's get married. She's like, okay, let's do that. And she had been, now her parents were famous also. And she had been in the arguably television's first soap opera, Peyton Place. And I think she had one other movie role before this. Frank Sinatra, marries Mia Farrow, and he's like, okay, yeah, this acting thing, maybe give that up. But after they're married for a while, she says, she's like, no, I think I really want to do this. And she says that he was supportive of that and that he wanted her to be in The Detective. But her argument for taking Rosemary's Baby was that is Polanski. Mm-hmm. It's Robert Evans. She's like, I know I just made a movie, but look, if I do this high profile Robert Evans, joint, I'll be able to I could just skate by on one movie a year and I could just pick whatever kind of movie I want to do. I don't have to just take anything, or, I can be super selective. I could be home when I want to be. I could do a movie when it seems like it's going to be really cool and fun. And she says that Frank Sinatra was like, yeah, go ahead, then do it.
Right.
Now, The Detective, we should say, although it's a Frank Sinatra movie and it was made in the 60s, same time, right?
It's the exact same time.
It is terrible.
Yes.
Is it the sequel or the prequel?
It's the prequel to a little movie called Die Hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. The author wrote The Detective, and there is a part for somebody that Mia Farrow would have played. I don't want to go back and find out what that would have been.
It is not a cavalcade of great female parts.
No, it wouldn't pass the Bechdel test, or what's pronounced. Anyway, he wanted her in that with her. It's also filmed in New York. It also has it's about gay people in New York City in 1967.
It's very racy. So it's not like if you're looking at the racy-o-meter between Rosemary's Baby and The Detective, that like Rosemary's Baby is like so far beyond the Detective is way more violent, way grosser.
It's not
terrible.
Yeah, it's not.
Did we mention it's terrible?
It's not great representation.
No, it's
I'm
real
sure
bad.
it's accurate of what the police were like, but it's not.
Oh, agreed. But
Yeah.
it's almost unwatchable.
We're telling you don't have to watch it. That's what we're saying. But the author of that book years later wrote a sequel for it, and then years after that, somebody was going to make Die Hard, and Frank Sinatra was a producer on The Detective, and they could not make the sequel without offering it to him first, who was in his 80s at the time.
He was not going to be crawling through the ductwork.
Yeah, he said,
No.
Nah, you can offer it to that Bruce Willis guy. I'm cool. So anyway, Frank Sinatra in his 50s with Mia Farrow, who's 21, 22 at this point. Can you imagine your first boyfriend having a toupee, first of all? Like, it just, like, I cannot.
I mean, maybe not at 20. I might not. Actually, she was 19 when they met.
I know.
So no,
Very
perhaps
innocent.
not.
I mean, she was a Hollywood kid, but still, I mean.
But still, it seems like she was, and then After that, she's married to Andre Previn.
Right.
They break, their marriage does not survive this movie, but there's a lot of stuff at play.
Yeah.
And it should be noted, I think, just on a personal thing, because I was just saying, I've been so immersed in Mia Farrow land this week. Highly recommend, by the way, Lifetime Channel's intimate portrait of Mia Farrow. It's adorable. Like, all her kids are really young. And it's after, like, the scandal, though. It's notable, I think, that Frank Sinatra and Andre Previn remained super close to her for the rest of her life. Like, she was really close to her ex-husbands, just not that one guy who she wasn't really married to anyway. But that's why Ronan Farrow's name is Farrow. So, yeah, so Frank Sinatra, what I'm trying to say is Frank Sinatra and his family continued to be super supportive and very protective of her, really for the rest of his life. Yeah. So her account of it is that, like, it was a discussion, but ultimately he was supportive of it.
Yeah, well,
ultimately.
I mean, at the time, so she's filming Rosemary's Baby and he's filming The Detective, both in New York City at the same time, which is great. You get up, you go to work, because New York is not that huge of a place, so you can, go back and forth. It's pretty ideal. And she's so let's just talk Roman Polanski, who is a gifted director. I mean, this is a fabulous looking movie.
No argument there.
Right.
It's so well directed.
It's beautiful. So we have John Cassavetes as Guy, Ruth Gordon as Minnie, Sidney Blackmer
as Roman.
Yeah? Thank you. Sorry. Yeah. Morris Evans, as Hutch. Ralph Bellamy is so great.
I love Ralph
Dr. Saperstein. And then Charles Grodin, it's his debut. He's so young and handsome.
Yeah, he's real good in this.
Yeah, he's great. So
and then just a bunch of really great character actors. I really like the trailer for this one.
Yeah, so do I.
I think it's a particularly good, one of the better trailers we've had for a while.
Yes, this is the original 1968 trailer. So let's take a quick break and then we'll play the trailer and then we'll go right into this movie.
Hey, let's make love.
Paramount Pictures presents Mia Farrow in a William Castle production, Rosemary's Baby. Co-starring John Cassavetes, Ruth Gordon, Sidney Blackmer, Morris Evans, and Ralph Bellamy. Written for the screen and directed by Roman Polanski. From the best-selling novel by Ira Levin. Suggested for mature audiences.
William Castle is the producer of this movie, and he's one of those people that, by the way, says that it's cursed because it brought back devil stuff. And he said that the funny...
Really, though?
Right, I know. You could say that about any movie, like somebody... But he said that Roman Polanski didn't understand at the time, because English, by the way, wasn't his first language. He'd been through quite a bit in his life.
That's true, yeah.
But he didn't understand that when you're adapting a book... You didn't have to actually film the book. You could, when you're adapting a screenplay, like you could make some changes. So he pretty much does the book. We forgot to mention there's a couple of scenes that don't take place in the movie. There's one in the book. Actually, there's a couple of times in the book where Rosemary does leave Guy. We forgot to mention, even for a few days,
for a minute.
Yeah,
yeah.
At one point, she's like, "I didn't even think about Guy for 2 days." I'm like, thank God, at least for 2 days you had some peace. But then she always comes back to him. But I think Mia Farrow is so pretty in this movie. I think she just glows in the dark.
She's just like the
ethereal.
This movie is so good.
Yeah.
All of the, once they go into the what do they call it? The Bramford.
Yeah.
the Dakota. Like the sets are so dark. And, again, they're gothic and claustrophobic and like no sunshine ever shines into anybody's window ever. But she's just like this beautiful, glowy, always in these sunshiny kind of colors, at first at least. And I know you just can't stop. Look, she's so pretty. Mm-hmm. And I think John Cassavetes doesn't get enough credit for like playing this jerk.
He's such a douchebag.
He's so terrible, and he does it so super well. Like it's totally wild. Like you've met this guy. I've totally met this guy.
Yeah. Especially in New York. I mean, you meet, yeah, or L.A. Just people like, yeah. So John Cassavetes, apparently he and Roman Polanski, they were really good friends before this, but Polanski likes to really. He nails all of his shots. He's a very visual director.
Yes.
And Cassavetes really likes to improv. I mean, if you see his movies later on, that's a clash because
it's not going to work. And it works so well. I mean, that style, Polanski style, works so well for this movie. But also, I mean, in his defense, Cassavetes, his style also kind of works for that character.
Right.
I saw a thing where, because Roman Polanski was also, was also quite a gifted actor.
Mm-hmm.
And Mia Farrow, again, this is her second motion picture. It's the second time she's been on a movie set. She said that Polanski, and his English is not that great, so he would act out the scenes, basically like, this is the emotion of this scene. Which Mia says she found super helpful and which John Cassavetes did not appreciate at all.
Yeah, some actors get really upset.
Yeah, which I understand. Like, you're there to interpret it your way.
Right.
Don't tell me how I should say that line. I want to figure it out. So I totally get that. But yeah, but it does. I think his performance, Cassavetes' performance in this is so good. He's so manipulative, and when he's trying to charm her, you're like, ew. But it's just, I think it's so good. I think it's just absolutely brilliant, underrated performance by John Cassavetes.
When they first walk in the building, she says, "Oh, Guy's an actor." I think it's the real estate agent. Goes, "Oh, have I ever seen you anything?" Like, "Oh, he was in theater. He's in Luther, and Nobody Loves an Albatross, and also he does commercials." He goes, "Oh, I hear that's where the money is." He goes, "Oh, the artistic thrill," just to like be smug about it. I'm like, I don't care. Like, so what? Just
nobody cares.
Nobody cares. Just pay your bills.
They only asked in the first place as like
polite.
A common courtesy.
Yes, to be polite, and they want to make sure you could pay your rent. By the way, like nobody cares if it thrills you. Like, just but Yeah, there's just, but everybody knows that guy, like at the party that has to be that way. But yeah, Polanski, this movie, everything is done through Rosemary's point of view. So that's all we get. And so there's all these kinds of shots of Rosemary just entering the building when she first gets into the elevator. And so there's the elevator operator like looking at her over his shoulder. There's all kinds of, like you said, there's like these secret things that people seem to, there's all kinds of secrets going on in this building. And she's sort of the person that's just trying to figure out everything that's happening, including like there's the closet door. Why is this all covered up? And so she's, you know, she spends the day sprucing up the place, making it nice. And then you learn to hate the sound of the buzzer of the front door because it's always the Castevetes. It's always, you know.
Hello, how are you?
Fine. Now come in a minute.
Yes, of course, please do.
I just come over to thank you for saying those nice things to us the other night.
Oh, no, please.
Poor
you don't have
Terry. We thought maybe we failed her some way. Though her note made it crystal clear we had, and she'll never know how helpful it was in such a shock moment. So I do thank you. Roman does, too. Roman's my hubby.
to. You're welcome. I'm glad I could help.
Yeah. Well, she was cremated yesterday. Now we gotta forget and go on. It won't be easy with only children of her own. You have any?
No, we don't.
Well, there you go. Oh, that's a nice. Look how you put the table in. Isn't that interesting?
I saw it in a magazine.
Oh, my nice paint job. That's nice. Where is that? That's the TV room?
Well, only temporarily. It's going to be a nursery.
Oh, you're pregnant?
No, not yet. I hope to be as soon as we're settled.
Wonderful. Well, you're young and healthy. You'll have lots of children.
We plan to have 3.
I didn't see what you did to this apartment. The woman had it before. Was a dear friend of mine.
I know. Terry told me.
Oh, did she? You two had some long talks together in the laundry room.
Only one.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, it looks so much brighter. Why do you pick a chair like that?
I'm not sure, really. I think about $200.
Where's your hubby, do?
He's an actor.
I knew it. I said it to Roman yesterday. He's so good looking. What movies was he in?
No movies. He was in 2 plays called Luther and Nobody Loves an Albatross, and a lot of television and radio.
Listen, Rosemary, I got a 2-inch thick sirloin steak sitting defrosting right this minute. Why don't you and Guy come over and have supper with us tonight? What do you say?
Oh, no, we couldn't.
Why not?
No, really, that's very kind of you.
Listen, it'd be a real help to us. First night we'll be alone since.
Are you sure it wouldn't be too much trouble for you?
Honey, if there's trouble, I wouldn't ask you.
All right, you go ahead and count on us. I'll have to check with Guy, though.
Listen, you tell him I won't take no for an answer. Oh, here's your mail. Now, Ed.
Thank you.
Ruth, by the way, Ruth Gordon, who's amazing. And then,
oh, she's so good. The both of them are so good.
They're
But she in particular, because again, like just visually, we have this darkness, and you have Rosemary, who's this little sunshine, and then Minnie, who's Ruth Gordon. She shows up, and she's very colorful, but it's not quite in the same way. It's like this kind of like weird mirror thing going on between the two of them visually. She seems fun and creative and all of that, but she's really just trying to pimp her out to Satan.
yeah, she's not like the same person. Margaret and we talked about Harold and Maude in a previous episode where she's kooky and fun and you want to hang out with her. Minnie's really weird. There's something
She's kooky
up.
and evil.
Yeah, there's something up with Minnie.
That's bad kooky.
It's bad kooky. But Rosemary's so polite that she always invites her over and all that stuff. So Rosemary, just like in the book, in the movie, Rosemary meets her neighbor, Teresa, in the basement. And that's where we first get the idea of the locket that she has. That's the little jewel locket. And they're by the washing machines. And it does look really creepy, that basement, where they're doing their laundry, and that's where we
The
meet
basement,
her.
by the way, where Hutch told us that a baby was, a baby was left.
Yeah,
not alive and wrapped in newspaper in this basement.
There's all kinds of creepy stuff in this
It's all
building.
kinds of really gross stuff.
Yeah.
You know, if any of this is triggery for you, sorry. First of all, I'm very sorry we didn't warn you ahead of time. And yeah, maybe skip this one.
It's Rosemary's Baby, you know, guys. It's a classic film. But she, as soon as we meet her, like in the next scene, Teresa's doesn't make it. And what's really creepy is she's pretty much almost in the same spot where John Lennon was killed.
This is true. I mean, watching it now, you know that, but you know.
Yeah. There's no way to know it at the time. But then that's when we meet Roman and Minnie together. And they're kind of like, oh, that's too bad. What happened here?
Their reaction is like, I don't know. Oh, we couldn't get a table at that restaurant you wanted to go to.
Right. And Rosemary's completely just, you know, super upset. And so the next day, Minnie comes over and Minnie's like, oh, could you come over for a little bit? I've got some steaks and, you know, we're so lonely without her. You know, it's going to be. And so Rosemary's like, all right, well, I'll have to ask Guy, but sure, you can count on us. And of course, Guy complains, but they come over and those steaks look terrible. And that chocolate mouse looks.
They look so gross.
Awful.
I thought the same thing. Like, who makes steaks like that? What are you doing?
Do not. Yeah. Well done steaks are just evil. It's all just a big bucket of evil. Then we get to, so we'll fast forward. We'll get to baby night. So Guy decides he's hanging out with Roman and Minnie. And then he comes to Rosemary and says, you know what? I've been a louse and we're going to make a baby. Oh, Guy, really? Can we really?
We're going to make a baby on Tuesday.
On Tuesday. I love it when he makes her eat the stuff that she doesn't want to eat. And she has to hide it from him like a child, like a mother or your dad, like makes you eat something that you don't want to eat. He's so annoying. And that's when we have the rape scene, the sexual assault. So also, we should say, like, yeah, that's a trigger warning, but it's this sadistic sex assault, but it's also a part of a ceremony. It's a satanic ceremony, so it's not about consent and it's not about anything beautiful. You have old people that are naked, and you've got goats
and Guy. Guy's there, of course.
Guy's there, and Guy. Oh, and Guy. So you should say that always. And Guy. And at one point, she's floating on a thing in the ocean, and Mia Farrow always looks great. And then they have, like, at one point, that furry hand. Remember, we were making fun of that furry hand that comes out. It just looks so Party City.
It's very Party City, but at the same time, it's very clever because she's in a dream state. You know, you, the audience, and she's flashing in and out of reality, and you, the audience, are getting both the reality and the dream state. And so that it's Party City, clawy hand, Satan hand on her. It's, you can you're like, you allow it because she's in this dreamy state.
Because she didn't eat all the mouse too, by the way.
She didn't eat all the mouse.
So maybe she didn't get the full effect of the drug. Mm-hmm. But she wakes up and she feels terrible, and she notices on her back she's all scratched up, and her wonderful husband says, "Oh boy, I was an animal last night, wasn't I?"
What time did I go to sleep?
You didn't go to sleep. You passed out. From now on, you get cocktails or wine, not cocktails and wine, huh?
The dreams I had.
Don't yell. I already filed them down. I didn't want to miss baby night. And a couple of my nails were ragged, and it was kind of fun in a necrophile sort of way.
I dreamed someone was raping me. I don't know, someone inhuman.
Thanks a lot. What's the matter?
Nothing.
I didn't want to miss the night.
We could have done it this morning or tonight. Last night wasn't the only split second.
Well, I was a little bit loaded myself, you know.
Oopsie. Oh, wait, I forgot. You were passed out.
It was fun in a necrophilia kind of way. Anyway, better get dressed because we got to go someplace. Just, ugh, he's so gross.
Who says that?
Who says that?
Why are you, just run. Just get out of there.
Get out of there.
Just get out of there. Girl.
You're in danger, girl. Just
get out.
Get out. Eventually she finds out that she is pregnant. She goes to, so they come over and of course Minnie and Roman have to come over and they insist you have to go to Dr. Saperstein. So she can't go to Dr. Hill, which all the other housewives go to. I feel like the real housewives go to. And so she goes to Saperstein once again. It's Ralph Bellamy, which I always think of Trading Places. That's always in my heart. That's where he's from.
I love him.
He's great.
He's such a great character actor. He's absolutely wonderful.
He's amazing. And he does have that authority about him. Like when he speaks to you. And if he said to me, don't do this and read that, I'm like, okay.
Don't read books.
Don't read books. Just... he's going to make you a drink. You drink this every single day. She's going to give you these herbs and Minnie gives her this charm to wear and all this stuff. Rosemary does everything that they tell her to do because that's what Rosemary does best. And in this movie, she has no contact with her family at all. No calls with her sister Margaret. There's nothing. She never leaves Guy. She's just there. And that's when she experiences the pain. And Mia Farrow I think she must have lost weight for the role, or it's just she contorts her body maybe, but
I don't know. She looks very thin.
Ooh, she looks just like she's in such pain. And she's looking worse and worse. And then she wants to have the party, and supposedly Sharon Tate's in the party scene, but I can't picture.
I didn't see anybody who looked like her.
Nor did I. But her friends really try to talk sense into her and say, look, pain means there's something up. You've got to get a second opinion. Guy's getting into the kitchen, tries to break in. After the party, Rosemary says, I'm going to another doctor just to get a second opinion. I'm in pain. This is not okay. And Guy has a meltdown, says it's not fair.
Not worried about his wife being in physical pain when she's supposedly carrying his baby.
Right. And
it's all about Guy.
All Guy all the time. And then miraculously the pain goes away. And she's doing okay after that. But once again, Hutch comes by, and then they steal his glove. Soon after, Hutch is in a coma. And then Rosemary's really alone. She doesn't have any friends. She has nobody to look after her. She's going about New York City, and she's gradually kind of figuring out that she's not, she's still not feeling great. And she's still wondering what the hell is going on here? Because something's up. People act weird. And Guy is just getting more and more nervous and weird and skittish around her. He's getting all these gigs and stuff, but he's not happy.
His career's really taken off.
Yeah, it's really...
it's just like in the book. And, after Hutch dies, she gets, in the movie, he sends her a book about witchcraft, and it's got a picture, of, I can't remember what the witch guy's name, and he's got a son named Stephen, and it she figures out that it's an anagram for Roman Castevet's. Dun dun dun. And then again the whole thing, she has the baby, and they tell her that the baby has died, and all of these weirdos that live in the building have just totally taken over her life. One of them's watching her while she sleeps, and another one's bringing her food, and they're running everything, and she's just okay.
There's a scene in the phone booth where she does pack her bags.
That's true, yes.
And she calls Dr. Hill, and she's I like that scene where she's in the phone booth and she's trying to get help, and she's please, you don't understand. They have these rituals, and they're watching me, and they're giving me weird drugs, and I feel like I'm being watched all the time, and all this stuff. And he's all right, come in. And then she comes in and she sees it's Charles Grodin, and he talks to her. It's funny because in Charles Grodin's book, It'd Be So Nice If You Weren't Here, that was his autobiography. He said to Roman Polanski wanted him to just immediately be okay, I believe you. And Grodin really fought for like, no, I want him to think for a second and then say, okay. And so they were fighting about it. And then he stopped and said, okay, Roman, I get it. And Roman said, okay, good. You understand. He goes, no, I'm making my point. You have to like take a beat and listen to somebody. And then they feel like you listen to them. Anyway, so Grodin all of a sudden grew out a mustache, just like in the book. He gets a little bit of a mustache. She's hanging out in the office. She thinks she's going to be saved. And then who shows up but Dr. Saperstein and Guy?
So
You're just like, no. He sold her out too. He sold her out too. Why? Poor
What did they
Rosemary.
promise him? What was the deal?
What did they offer him in return? I mean, just, do no harm, dude. I mean, but alas, she goes home. They take her to the hospital. They say she lost her baby. She comes home. She hears crying. She follows the crying. And then they've got this little bassinet, and she's like, and she's got a knife in her hand, and she's like, get away from that baby. That's my baby. And then she looks at it and she screams because it's got
it's so good. I mean, the whole movie
iconic
kind of
scene.
hinges on that moment.
Rosemary, go back to bed. You know you're not supposed to be up and around.
Is the mother? Rosemary.
Shut up.
Rosemary.
Shut up, you're in Dubrovnik. I don't hear you. What have you done to it? What have you done to its eyes?
He has his father's eyes.
What are you talking about? Guy's eyes are normal. What have you done to him, you maniac?
Satan is his father, not Guy. He came up from hell and begat a son of mortal woman. Hail, Satan!
Hail, Satan!
Satan is his father, and his name is Adrian. He shall overthrow the mighty and lay waste their temples. He shall redeem the despised and wreak vengeance in the name of the burned and the tortured. Hail, Adrian! Hail, Adrian! Hail, Satan! Hail, Satan!
He chose you out of all the world, out of all the women in the whole world. He chose you. He arranged things because he wanted you to be the mother of his only living son.
His power is stronger than stronger. His might shall last longer than longer. Yes, Satan!
No! It can't be! No!
Look at his hands, his feet.
Oh, God!
God is dead!
Hail,
Satan lives! The year is won!
If it's not perfect, then the whole thing just falls apart, and she just nails
She certainly does.
because she's Mia freaking Farrow.
Right. You believe her. You totally believe her. And Guy, everybody's there, and Guy who's in the doorway doing nothing.
Again, why is Guy even? Just go have your career, Guy. What are you doing?
What are you doing?
Just go. Just nobody wants you here.
And they end it with her just kind of like rocking the bassinet. You don't know what's going to happen. Is she going to stay with Guy? Are they going to have more kids? Is she going to run away?
She should team up with the Satanists and just put Guy in, like, I don't know, send him on tour with Up With People, something. Just get him out of there.
He's the worst. In the end, during filming, at one point, Frank Sinatra was so upset at how busy Mia was that he said, "You need to leave the film now and be with me." And she said,
"Okay."
And she's like, "I can't. I'm in the middle. I love you, but I can't. I'm in the middle of filming." and he served her, and she told this to Robert Evans, and Robert Evans, according to him, said he showed her dailies and said, "Look at this, you're gonna get an Oscar for your performance here." And so she told Frank, "Yeah, I'm not leaving. I'm gonna get an Oscar for this. I can't leave. I can't." And she can't. She already signed up. So Frank served her divorce papers on the set, and she, like a champ, she went out and did the scenes anyway. Went on with her life. They stayed friends. I mean, they got divorced, but they stayed friends.
Yeah.
You know, these things happen. Yeah. You know, she was young. She was going to leave him eventually. I mean,
and it was, I mean, there was, can we just say, cannot stress this enough, a 30-year age difference. Like, completely different generations and values, and just like so different.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, some people can make that work, but it's a, you know, it's not an issue. It's something you have to deal with.
Right. In the end, nobody talks about the detective good and sufficient reason. It's just not. It's not memorable. In the end, Rosemary's Baby is considered a classic. In the end, Ruth Gordon won an Oscar, her first Academy Award. She was born in 1896, so she's in her 70s when she won.
The next award is for the best performance by an actress in a supporting role. For Rachel, Estelle Parsons. For The Heart is a Lonely Hunter, Sandra Locke. For Funny Girl, Kay Medford. For Rosemary's Baby, Ruth Gordon. For Faces, Lynn Carling. The winner is Ruth Gordon in Rosemary's Baby.
I can't tell you how encouraging a thing like this is.
How cool is that?
She's just the best.
I want to be that cool in my 70s. I just want to. It's a classic. There's some visual scenes that Roman Polanski does that are so brilliant. There's just times where you want to crane your neck to look around a corner. He just very purposefully,
seriously,
puts the camera in places because that's what Rosemary wants to do, but she can't see things, and that's the whole point. We're seeing everything from her point of view, and so sometimes we don't see things until we get to the very end, and that's even then we only get the eyes. We don't see the baby claws or the feet.
And it's not the baby's eyes; it's her memory of her dream that she had while that was happening. There's a reason why it's a classic, and it's super good. I think it totally holds up.
Yeah.
I think the themes only get more interesting, and the book is awesome.
It's a great read. It's a quick read. It's under 200 pages, I think.
Oh, easily. Yeah. It's real fast. I was on a car trip from San Diego to San Bernardino, and I just listened to it in the car. But movie.
Yes. Yeah, but I'm going to keep that audiobook because I'm going to listen to that again. I was doing
audiobook
tours.
Is so good.
Yeah, I was doing tours in my apartment. I just had it on all day, and it was great. The Witches is next, everybody. So thank you so much for listening. Please send us your suggestions once again, for books and for movies. And Margot, where can they find you?
You can find me online at coloniabook.com, and all of my social media callouts are at She's Nacho Mama. And Margot Donahue, author of Filmed in Brooklyn. Where can they find you?
You can find me on social media at Brooklyn Fitchick for Twitter and Instagram. My site is brooklynfitchick.com, and I am at Margot Donahue on the TikTok. Thank you all so much for listening. Go out and enjoy your October. We will be back soon with a new episode. Thank you so much for listening to the Book vs. Movie podcast. We are a part of the Frolic Podcast Network. You can find more podcasts you will love at frolic.media/podcasts. We follow the hashtags LadyPodSquad and Podern Family. If you want to support the show, you can go to our Patreon page, go to Patreon, and look for Book vs. Movie podcast.
We have a basic Facebook page, but we also have a private Facebook group. Go to Facebook and type in Book vs. Movie Podcast Group if you want to join that. You could follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Book vs. Movie. Spell all those words out. If you'd like to send us an email, it's Book vs. Movie Podcast, spell that all out, at gmail.com. You could follow Margot D at Brooklyn Fit Chick on social media and Margot P at She's Nacho Mama. Thanks so much again for checking out our show, and we'll be back soon with a new episode.